Now there is one more function or method called send. One more built-in function called send. So what is the difference between the next and send? Both are returns the values, but there is a small difference. To understand the difference between the next function and send function, okay, let us first try to understand a normal daily example. I'm just going to give it again, okay, to understand for you more better. For example, I just give you two examples here. We already mentioned there are 8 footballs in your home, okay, and your friends are playing in the ground, or your brother is playing in the ground. What your brother is asking you, hey, just we are playing cricket now. They are playing cricket now, and they decided to play football now. And what they did is they just call you, hey, from home there are 8 footballs. You bring all the 8 footballs. So obviously, as we discussed, since all the 8 footballs you cannot bring from home to ground at a time, what we'll do is first we'll take the first football. The first football we're going to take from home to ground, and you are coming with empty hands. That is important that you should know. You are coming with empty hands. One football coming with empty hands. Empty hands. And taking the second football, going back to ground, placing it there or handing over it there, coming with empty hands. Again, third football, fourth, fifth, sixth, until the last football. So every time, whenever you are just coming back, you are coming with empty hands. This is one scenario. Second scenario, the same eight footballs are there in your ground in your home, and your brother said that, hey, bring all the 8 footballs to ground, and we have been playing the cricket so far, and we want to play the football now. Okay, so at home, 8 footballs you want to bring at a time. So obviously, first you are going to take one football, you are hand over the football there, and while you are coming back to home, rather than coming with empty hands, what they do, your brother told you, hey, we already done with playing the cricket here. There is a cricket kit. There is a cricket kit is there for every person. Okay, there are 8 kits are there in the ground. Cricket for with 8 kits. What they said is, so just anyway you are going back to home, right? So rather than going with empty hands and take one kit at a time, because 8 kits you cannot bring to home at a time, right? Because our cricket kit is a big actually. What they said is, okay, anyway you are taking the football from home to ground. While you are going back to home with empty hands, what they said is, you please take one kit at a time and keep kits, all 8 kits in a home. That's what they told you. Then while you are going from home to ground, you will take one football and hand over the football there. While coming back from ground to home, you will take one kit. See here you are coming with empty hands, right? Here you are coming with some luggage. So this is basically the next function, how the next function is going to work. Whenever you are calling the next function is going to get the data, the next element in the generator object. Okay, and it returns the value. While again going to generator function, it is going to generator function with empty hands. But in case of the send function, whenever you call the next function, so the generator object always going to get the next element from the generator object, and your next element is returned to you. Whenever you're going again back to generator function to get the next element, then you are sending some information. What is the sending is one kit you are sending here. Here you are sending some data. Some data you are sending. You understand logically, you will see the coding of these two concepts. The no need to worry. But you understand what is the difference between these two scenarios. Any questions from anyone here? No questions? Okay. Yeah. So now let's understand these two next function and send function from the coding perspective. Okay. So now I'm just going to copy this code to save our time. Okay. This is my function. So what is my function name is gen. So since it is a yield statement, I am calling this is a generator function. What is this yield function is all this function logic is present. This function logic, see here, this loop is going to iterate 10 times. Starting the first iteration from 0, I'm just going to comment out this code, 0, 1, 2, and so on till 9. That is what my successive integers. Range of 10 means successive integers starting from 0 to 10, excluding the 10, means 9. So the first iteration, we are going to get the value of I is equal to 0. And I am simply returning the value, whatever the value I am returning from the range function, that I am just value returning. So now, this is my function definition. I am just calling this function. This function is not accepting any input arguments. So I am also not passing any input arguments. Okay. For example, g. G is my variable where this gen function is a generator function. So this calling the generator function always returns the generator object. That generator object I am saving in a variable called g. Right? I am just calling next of g here. Means what it means? I am just going to see now at this point of time, this g is a variable that containing a generator object, that the generator object doesn't have any elements inside it. It's an empty generator object, I can say. Now, whenever I call the next of g, or I can also call something like this, actually g dot double underscore next double underscore. Anything is fine. Both are the same. Okay. So far previously I have called like this. Now I am calling like this. Both are the same. No change. Exactly the same. Okay. So whenever I call the next first time, first time for this generator object, Python is going to start iterating the loop. What is the first iteration? Element I is equal to 0. So I am returning 0 here. I am just going to get the 0. So this is the yield. This is where the value is returned from this generator function. So the first element is of the for loop is 0. I am returning the first element as is yield of 0. This is the place where I am returned from gen function. Okay. So now that value is equal to 0. So 0 gets printed here. So whenever I am calling next again, next of g. So I am calling next of g again. So this is the place where last time, whenever I access the gen function next of g, last time, this is the place where it is returned the value. When I am calling the next time, it is going to start resuming the function execution at that point only. So this is the point where it is going to execute. So this is already executed last time. The next line is this print of high. High is going to come now. See here, high. And what is the next? So this is the for loop first iterations ended. The for loop next iteration is going to start. What is the for loop next iteration value I? I is equal to 1. And this 1 is getting returned. 1 is getting printed here. So here I am screening x of g. So again, this is the place where it is written the value last time. So the next code is going to start executing. What is the next line of code? This is the next line of code that is going to start executing whenever I call the next of g again. So print high is going to come first. The next iteration of the for loop, I is equal to 2 here. Returning high, yield is high, returning high, that is getting printed here. I can also call g dot double underscore next double underscore. So now the element is 2 is yielded here, written from here. Next line of code is this is the next line of code. So I am calling the next function again, executing this one. So the next line of code high is getting printed here. The next iteration of the for loop. Now at the I is equal to 3, V is written here, the return value printed here. You understand how the next is going to work? Okay. So now we'll see how the send is going to work here. For example, I have a definition function like this. Okay. And for example, g1 is equal to, I'm just calling the generator function again. The same generator function, I did not modify anything. The same generator function I'm calling again. Or maybe I can just simply modify something to understand better. Val is equal to I and print var. Okay. See here, I am just see here yield I. Okay. So this is generator. Why I am saying it's a generator function? Because it's have the yield statement. So as long as the function is having the yield statement, I am saying it's a generator function. So we know this is a generator function. So now what I'm saying, it is going to iterate 10 times starting from successive integers 0 to 9. And for every iteration, we are just going to return the value of the I, simple, whatever is the integer it's returning. And okay, now let us see this. This is the execution. So now G1 is equal to, sorry, it's going to be G1 is equal to gen. I am calling this generator function, and this generator function always returns the empty generator object. That object is saved in a variable called G1. That's what the G1 means. So I just print the G1, see here, generator object. This is the memory where the object is saved. And this generator object is generated by calling the gen generator function. Clear? So now I am just calling first time next for G1. G1, this is the place where the G1 is created. I am calling the next function for the G1 first time. So what it will do? So now the code in the for function, gen function is going to execute it. So for range of n means the first iteration value, I value is equal to 0 and yield of 0. So this is the highlighted code where which is returning the value from this generator function first time. What is the yield of I? Yield of I means yield of 0. Means it is returning the 0. 0 is getting printed here. Good, no problem. So now I am calling the send function. Send of, for example, G1 dot, I think G1 dot send only, I believe. Let us just see the code. Yeah, G dot send. Yeah. G1 dot send, I am sending, for example, 56. See here, I have difference. Rather than coming with empty hands, that is the difference. Rather than coming with empty hands, your brother and friends, they are asked you to, anyway, you are going with empty hands to back to home. So take the kit, one kit at a time, and keep the kit in the home. And while coming back to ground, you please bring the one football. So while going to ground and while coming to home, you are not coming with any empty hands at any time. While going to ground, you are taking the football. While coming to home, you are taking the cricket kit. In the both the directions, you are just taking something. You are carrying some material. The send is also going to work. See here, in case of yield here, it is going to return the value of I. Okay, that is get printed. That's good. Okay, and when I call send, either you call the send or next method, Python is going to start executing the resuming the same place where it was written the last time. This is the place where the function got returned last time the value. And this is the place where only it is going to resume. So now yield of I, this yield of I is returning value, and we are just going back to the same function again with the send function, not the next function. Okay. Here while sending, we are sending the value 56. This 56 is saved in the value variable, val variable. And I'm just printing the val variable. And val variable is going to print 1. And that is the end of the first iteration. And the for loop is going to start the next iteration. Next iteration, I value is equal to 1. And I'm just yielding the value of I, which is 1. So the 1 is getting printed. When I'm just say z1 dot send again, for example, 100. So this is the place where the function returned the value of 1 last time, and I'm calling the send again, means that it is the same place where function is going to resume. That we are sending, while we are sending, we are not calling the next, we are sending, we calling the next method. In the next method, we are sending the value of 100. That sent value is saved in the val variable. I'm just printing the val variable. It is going to print the 100, and the next iteration I is equal to 2. And g1 dot send, for example, 88. It is going to print the value of 88. It is going next. So when I say g1 dot next, here I am not calling the send. Here I am just calling the next method. So next method, it is here in the next method, we cannot send any element. Only using the send method, if you want to send any element, you have to use the send. If you don't want to send any element, you just use the next, because next method is not sending any value. See here, I'm still calling the same function. So here I am not sending any value, means The value whatever you're noticing is none. None is going to print here. See here. So not here. Generate function G1. So not double underscore. It's double underscore next double underscore. See here, none is going to print here, and next iteration 4. If you call this one using the send, whatever is the value you are sending, that will be saved here. If you are using the double underscore next double underscore, okay, and then you are not sending any value, so none value will be saved in the val variable. The same val variable none is going to print here. I can also call like this next of G1. So here also you are not sending any value, means the none is going to print here. And the next iteration value 5 is going to print here again. Any questions between the send method and next method, next function, or double underscore next double underscore? You understand these two very properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's the end of the generator functions. Okay. So tomorrow's class we are going to discuss about generator expression.